Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Outsourcing and Scaling. I'm here with special guest Josh Marsden. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing good. Josh is an MBA graduate, author, and founder of CVO Acceleration. He's been in or on various media outlets and blogs, including Entrepreneur on Fire, SuperFast Business, the Huffington Post, DigitalMarketer, and BigCommerce. And that's just a few. He's been on stage at DigitalMarketer's Traffic and Conversion Summit several times, and his company CVO Acceleration specializes in helping e-commerce companies use online advertising profitably at scale. We are excited to have Josh on. That's a lot. What I want to do is take us back before you got into e-commerce, before you got into marketing. What were you doing? I mean, even as a kid,
great question.
A rebel? Were you a straight A student? Take us back.
Yeah, wow. You want me to go that back? Well, I grew up a military brat for one. So, I was born in Germany, moved around a decent amount, I was in Texas for 5 years. My dad was stationed there in Central Texas. That was really where my kind of childhood was. I even had my first kind of entrepreneur spark when I was that age. This was probably around 8 years old. So what I did was I borrowed Nintendo games and I rented them out to other kids. I didn't even own a Nintendo. So I was basically like that middleman, like a Napster for video games, but a person, not an online, website. That's basically what I was doing, but I was also selling in the process. So fast forward, my dad got out of the military when I was 11. We moved to Arizona. I've been basically in the Phoenix area of Arizona for 26 years now. It's getting up there. And so, I went to Arizona State University for a bit. And then I decided to go in the military when I was 19. I just had to get a little bit more serious about life and a little bit more responsible and disciplined. And I had to get that discipline back that I used to have when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I was a straight A student. I wasn't allowed more than like 2 Bs. And I was a TAG student, which TAG is this program in Texas. And it's like an accelerated learner type program. And then I was in honors in high school. And then at some point later in high school, I just went in the wrong direction in a way. Like I didn't get involved with like drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I just made bad decisions, and I took my relationship more seriously than school, and also, my college and work. And I just was making bad decisions. Then after she broke up with me, I had to get myself back on the right track. And that's why I went in the military, long story short. But that was a good move for me. It was basically like the first domino that kind of helped me get back on the right path, helped me, get back into school, take it seriously, do well. And then, the rest is history. After that, I went into corporate America. I worked at University of Phoenix. I was there for 7 years, and I was a manager for 4 of those years. 3 years I was an advisor. And, I did pretty well. I was in the top 3% of the company at various points throughout my career there, and won awards. I was almost at six figures, which I thought was a big deal at the time. Now it's not. And what happened was I decided to leave that company for a few reasons. Back in early 2012, it was just the company itself was really showing that there was some challenges like in the private education sector, and they weren't giving us raises as often anymore, and the raises were small compared to the past. Opportunities were dwindling, and I wanted to become a director at the time, and so I decided to basically take a leap and move to Infusionsoft, selling software, for Infusionsoft. And I did okay in my kind of year there. I was there throughout 2012, but I really wasn't happy. I had been a manager prior to that, so I was used to being basically like a sales manager, even though we didn't call it sales at University of Phoenix. But I basically had, performance expectations, and I just didn't like getting back into a sales role. I felt like I had climbed that mountain. I'd moved on from it. And even though, again, I was 108% to quota the entire year of 2012, just wasn't happy. And I think my manager could tell. And so at the end of 2012, he had a conversation with me. He let me go. And there was a little bit of back and forth. But I eventually accepted that this wasn't the right fit, and I left. And that was when I start basically into becoming a business owner and entrepreneur. Because at that moment in time, I needed to make some money, and I got a job offer the same day I was let go. But that wasn't going to start until I think 45, 60 days later. And so I started doing freelance work on Elance and Odesk, which is now merged in Upwork. It's called Upwork now, which is a competitor, and I was able to make some money and see that I could make money on my own for the first time in my life, besides being 8 years old. And so at that point, I definitely thought about starting my consultancy, my agency, but I didn't do it right away. I actually started at another company with a job, and when I told them I literally told them, I think the first day, that I had to leave 5 p.m. 1 to 3 times a week to pick up my son from preschool. They gave me a hard time about it. Said I don't know about that. Our culture here is, you got to be here till 7. You got to work hard. You got to put in the long hours. And I was like, okay, and so I kind of went back and forth with them, and I strung them along a little bit, said that I was working out with his mom, and I really wasn't. I was just stringing it along. And then finally, at the end of 3 weeks at that new company, they basically gave me an ultimatum. They told me on a Friday leading into the weekend that I had to let them know my decision. And so that weekend, I sat down, did a table, and just went over starting my own company versus staying at that company, positives, negatives. I said, and just really just brainstormed it out, just wrote it on paper. I think I still have it somewhere around here too. And that just made my decision for me that I had to start my own company. I had to become independent. I had to, create the life that I wanted, so this way I could be the father that I wanted to be. And the rest is history.
Very interesting. So for someone that I had an internship in college and before that, but I've never had a real job, I like to say. What's something that I might have missed out on? Because obviously I wouldn't want to do it, but I kind of wish I had some of that experience in my back pocket.
Yeah, I understand, man. It's funny. There's pluses and minuses to both sides of the fence. And, when you work for a company, when you work for a corporate entity, for one, it's somewhat easier to say, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm done. I'm not going to think about work. I'm just going to go home. I'm going to relax. I'm going to play a video game, watch a movie, go to the gym, whatever, And I was always a type A. I was always, the type of guy that had to do better than everybody. And I was always pushing hard. Even in corporate, I was the same way. And, I didn't jive with everybody because of that. But I could still get to a point at some point in the evening after I got home, I was still able to let go and relax. Whereas now, as a business owner, I don't know about you, but I can't necessarily relax very easily. I always want to work. It's a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because, I love what I do, but it's a bad thing because I can't unwind very easily. It takes a lot for me to really unwind. So that's, one difference that I think, I can, really, tell you about. Besides that, I think the other kind of biggest thing that maybe I do miss a little bit about the corporate world is relationships. When you are in cubicle land and you're working at a corporate company with cubicles everywhere, and, I was literally in buildings with just hundreds of cubicles, and so I can see all these different people, and you make friends, you build relationships, you go out to happy hours, it's really easy to meet people and to, have fun relationships. And I had some great friends when I was at University of Phoenix. And that's something that's obviously different about, entrepreneurship, being a business owner. You really have to make a little bit more of an effort to be around people and to make friendships, in similar lines of work. You have to go to meetups, you have to go to events, things like that to be able to kind of mimic what happens naturally in the corporate environment. So those are the two biggest things. I mean, obviously, there's ceilings to how much you can make, when you're working for a corporate, company. You do have benefits, health, and, all that stuff, insurance, but you can get that as a business owner as well. That's pretty much it. That's really the comparison between the two.
Interesting. So let's make that shift. You went from the job, you left it, you're starting to becoming an entrepreneur. Talk about year one. I know what my year one was like on both my companies. What was it like?
At first it was fun. I'm thinking back to 2013 here, but at first I kind of felt this joy of having freedom, and I was able to go to the gym during the day, get a good solid workout in, and not feel any stress about it really, and not get someone getting on my case about it. I had the freedom to make my own decisions. I just had to do them with responsibility in mind and wisdom in mind, obviously. So that was nice. And I was able to get clients pretty quickly, and get myself to I think the highest point I hit in 2013 was like 10,000 in a month, and which isn't a lot now, but then it was. And that was a good feeling, and it definitely helped me to have the sales background. Being able to get on the phone with people and have those conversations and move them to a decision, and obviously get decisions to come on board. But I did definitely have some challenges as well. I think the biggest challenge I had was I did get to a point later in 2013 where I felt that it was time to bring on an employee, like someone. And I took a little bit of a risk, a chance on a super close friend of mine, literally my best friend. And it didn't really work out, unfortunately. And, he actually, I don't want to say he did it because it's my business, I own it. But there was a lot that happened there that caused us to lose like a lot of clients pretty quickly. And I remember going into December of 2013 with like 2,000 projected, and that wasn't enough to cover my bills, and my bills were lower at the time versus now, but it still wasn't enough. And so I was stressed. I had to hustle. I had to just work day and night. I had to sell. I had to apply for different opportunities on freelancer sites. I had to really like grind it to get the health back that I needed to be able to have that stability. But that was my first year, really. It was really just testing the waters and making those decisions and having those experiences and feeling those benefits and really kind of figuring out which way I was going to go, because I initially started as doing Infusionsoft marketing automation services, because I learned the software really, really quickly because I'm good at technology. And then I found out that I didn't want to do business automation. I really wanted to help companies grow because I love performance. I love to see results, and so that was a decision I made in 2014 to kind of niche down into that. But anyway, that's how the first year went.
Love it. So let's talk opportunity, because I always say one of the biggest opportunities I got was when an influencer finally said yes to me. His name is Ben Cummings, and I got rejected a ton when I was first starting Free Up. Yeah, and Ben finally is like, listen, man, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to promote you to my community, but you better take great care of them. And I went all out to make sure that people had a great experience. And I kind of, in my opinion, took advantage of that opportunity. Well, was there a moment where you're like, wow, this is a big opportunity, I don't want to blow this?
Oh yeah, many times. Which one do you want to know?
Yeah, give us your first one where you're like, wow, okay, this could really get us on the right track.
Gotcha. I think that, first off, I am very thankful for every client that we bring on board. So I think of every client as a big opportunity, and I still do to this day. And, I really preach that with my team, even though I'm not as front facing as I used to be years ago. It's still something that I really preach to my team. And one of our core values is people, and there's a lot that goes into that. But I would say that probably the biggest kind of domino, I think, happened where I decided to really commit to focusing on marketing. Like my bachelor's degree was in marketing, my MBA is just general. And so, I definitely had some marketing in my foundation, but I didn't have like online marketing knowledge. I mean, I really had to dive into materials, books, and online, courses, blog posts, podcasts, you name it. And again, being a type A, if I say I'm going to try to become the best I can in something, like I go all out and I do whatever I have to do to get to that point and to get as close as possible, to being what that is. And so in 2014, when I was doing marketing campaigns for companies, as with my clients, that's what I loved. I loved seeing results. And so I decided that I was going to really just focus on that. I was going to focus on marketing, campaigns. I didn't even call it marketing funnels at the time. I was going to, really focus on generating results for clients. And so I dove into materials, like I said, and DigitalMarketer was like the biggest, I would say, resource that I really dove into. DigitalMarketer Lab had launched, I think, around that same time. And I became like one of the first kind of members, and I became kind of an influencer in their group, especially in regards to Infusionsoft initially. And late in 2014, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm at one of their events, and it's funny because the event was free for the first 2 days, and if you wanted to pay for the third day, you pay like $500, and you could upgrade. You could be there for the third day, and I did, because I was like, I want to learn as much as possible, sure, And so that third day, I'm there, and they pitched to the entire room. We're rolling out this new program, DigitalMarketer Certified Partner. It's 10,000. This is a beta group. This is what we're promising. Blah blah. And so at the time, my friend Rich and I, we both had agencies, and we were super we were frenemies, as he calls it. We were competitive but friendly, but competitive, and we were after the same leads. We were we were cleaning house, so to speak, in the Facebook group for DigitalMarketer, getting leads and clients and selling Infusionsoft and all sorts of stuff. And he gets up right away, right when Ryan pitches that. He gets up, almost runs to the front of the room, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to cuss, but I want to cuss right now. I'm thinking to myself, dang, I need to do this too. I can't let Rich one up me on this. I got to get up there because I'm super competitive. And so even though I'm I don't really have 10,000 I can invest, I'm F it, I'll do it. And so I jump up, bring the paperwork, turn it in, boom, and in the next 30 days, I did make 10,000 to be able to pay for that, which is cool. But that was the biggest opportunity because, I aligned myself with arguably the leader or one of the leaders in, digital marketing, online marketing. And that was just a huge opportunity. And I've always taken it very seriously since. So that, that was the biggest opportunity that I've had.
It's so funny how just that small thing, in that second, if you just decide, hey, I didn't want to do it, or I don't have the money, or whatever it is, it could be a completely different path. So we talked a little bit about hiring people. I mean, you hired your friend. I did that back in the day. I remember after I fired 2 or 3 of my friends, I was like, all right, I can't hire friends anymore. This is brutal. Let's talk about hiring now. You have a team. What do you look for when you're hiring people?
Yeah, great question. So, I think the first thing is it's character. Character, hands down is number one. I want, people that really align with the characters that I want to imbue into my business. And so I've got specific values, and I go over that in our hiring funnels that we drive people to sometimes. And in this video that I typically show candidates before I really interview them, I'm going over what I'm looking for and especially what I'm not looking for. So, I'm looking for, people that, have integrity, are hardworking, want to be the best that they could possibly be, will go the extra mile. Those are kind of some of the characteristics. They're really good with people, really good with interpersonal communication. I definitely like to look for leaders too that can make quick decisions, that are unafraid of taking those types of roles. This way, they're hungry for growth. Now, that's from a character standpoint, from a kind of knowledge standpoint. Depends on the role, as you can imagine. But, I'm always looking for, the skill sets that match the role as well.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about CVO Acceleration. What is it? How has it evolved? How has it changed?
Sure. Yeah. So, we really focus on helping e-commerce companies, be able to use paid advertising profitably at scale. What that means is we help e-commerce companies that are usually doing 7+ figures. We help them scale their business using Facebook ads, Google ads, Bing, Yahoo, Pinterest, even. We basically, have the in-house processes and resources to be able to help our clients do that. Now, we also, besides paid advertising, we also can help with like sales funnels, chat bots, Facebook Messenger bots, email marketing, SMS marketing. Like it's all baked into our funnels, basically. And so, our job, our role, our mission is to, help companies be able to use paid advertising, using everything that we can do to help them really maximize their ROI from paid advertising.
How has advertising changed in 2019 and where do you see it going?
That's a great question. I love the question, by the way. So my book is probably the best resource that anybody can grab. It's on Amazon, or you can go to my website. But here's the gist of it. It's first off, you can't rely on just Facebook, even though this is a book about Facebook ads. Facebook ads is, next to Google, definitely the best advertising channel still. But, it definitely has become more competitive. Cost per clicks have gone up. You do have to have a really good strategy that matches the trend that's happening on Facebook, that has been happening on Facebook for the past year or two. And that's really just combining brand with direct response. That's really what it comes down to. There's definitely, different strategies and, tactics and things like that can help companies implement, that combination with their Facebook ads. And that's covered in my book by myself and 12 other friends that really contributed to the book. They're all experts as well in Facebook advertising. But, that's really what's happening right now with advertising online is, you have to really focus on the customer value journey, brand plus direct response. You have to have smart retargeting, throughout all your advertising. So you're, moving people from stage to stage and you're respecting where they're at in the process of converting. Also on top of that, you're not focusing on the 1% to 2% of people that are ready to buy right now. You're focusing on a larger percentage plus those people. So this way you can get people into your funnel and you can move them through your funnel to until they're ready to make a decision to become, a customer. And then finally, you can't over rely on just one paid channel. I mean, omni-channel is the trend. If you Google search, what's the trends right now with digital marketing, omni-channel comes up, and it's true. You can't overly rely on Facebook. You can't overly rely on Google. You have to have like a multi-channel strategy to be able to really maximize your return on every dollar spent. So those are the kind of the two biggest things that I can really, talk about without going too much into the weeds, that, your audience would, benefit from hearing.
Josh, this has been awesome. How can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I would just recommend, go to our website, go to CVO Excel, that's ACCEL. .com. CVO stands for Customer Value Optimization. We help our clients, really be able to optimize customer value because that's how you win online. So just go to, www.cvoexcel.com and then you can find out more about us.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.